Okay, today we're doing a Harley Davidson belt off a belt drive, primary belt drive, not final drive, but the belt on an open primary. Going to be airbrushing a couple of logos on here for the gentleman that's putting this back on his bike. I've done quite a few of these over the years. I use Createx paints with a catalyst and an activator that makes it flexible so that it stays on the leather and on the rubber belt. And I've done these for years, so I know this system works and stays on the belt quite a while. Most times it's still on there years later, so a lot of times it has to be taken off with lacquer thinner, but today we're going to be doing this belt, and we'll get to it. So first, what we're going to be doing is laying a mask out on here and just shooting this with a couple of colors. We're going to go silver on it just so it stands out. We might do just a little bit of blue across it so it looks like it's got a little bit of metal hue to it. And stick with me, we're going to get the mask on. There's a couple things you need to remember when you're doing one of these belts. You want to read it from this side of the motorcycle. And belts are always applied to where you can read the lettering on them. There's some lettering right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but there's some lettering right here, and that basically tells you that this is the top, as if you would read it from right to left. And that's the way you want to set things up. Make sure that that lettering, you can read it. And that's the way the belt is applied to the motorcycle. Here I have one of the masks that I cut on my vinyl cutter. I got a 34-inch vinyl cutter in the other room up in the office, and I'll cut the mask for these, and that's how we keep a good, clean, sharp line. I've got a center mark on the belt, and they're very faint, so I've got to kind of center this up on there. And this mask doesn't like to stick to the rubber all that easy. So what we'll be doing is making sure that we can get this mask off and it stays in place. You have to watch it very carefully. Make sure you don't peel up part of your design. I just barely want this to stick to it anyway. But as you can tell, I'm holding the mask down as I peel this backing paper. And I clean these belts with lacquer thinner before we apply anything to them, just so that I know everything gets a good bite. Gets that rubber kind of soft so paint gets in there. And once we get the backing paper off, I'll just double check, then we'll mask around it. We're almost there. What we want to do is make sure we get any little wrinkles out of the mask in between the letters. If there's any part of the letter that didn't get pushed down, you need to do that now. And then I'll take some good 3M tape, go around this because we don't want any overspray on the belt anywhere else than where we're putting the paint. It looks like that we are ready to spray. And we're using an Iwata Neo today. It's a cheap airbrush. Iwata's a good airbrush, don't get me wrong. The Neo is a little bit cheaper line. I've got lots of Iwata airbrushes, but this is one I just keep handy in the booth here, and that way I don't have airbrushes strung all over. I've got a whole big airbrush set up in the other room, but I don't drag it in here unless I'm using it for something that I really need detail on. I've got a bigger Iwata that I use to do freehand work, and I usually use this one if I'm doing really small detail because it's got a small tip and needle in it. Pretty sure it's like a 2.3. I could be wrong. This is a good illustration brush. Doesn't handle thicker fluids very well, so you have to keep your stuff in pretty good. And maybe a little more paint here. And I just loaded up a little bit of blue, and we're just going to go right down the middle of this. Just one time, just put a little faint haze of blue in that lettering. And when I'm done, there's a clear coat that I'll use on this made by Createx that will seal all this because it has to be sealed. And if you guys are interested in finding that Createx paint, I would just go online, look for Createx. They're going to have all the clears and all the descriptions of what you're going to do, what you need it for, what you're going to do, that kind of thing with it. And rather than me to tell you something and not remember it right, it's simple. Just go online, find Createx paint, and you will find everything you need. Need to grab a quick razor blade and get the centers of these letters out. Nothing fancy, standard razor blade. Just gotta get under that, and you don't want to touch the artwork with your finger. You just want to kind of peel it up and grab a hold of that vinyl. And we have a finished product. Might be some glare on it from the paint booth lights, but there is what we're looking at. And I have to do on the other side. So we'll now turn it over and even it back out. And I won't put you through the pain of watching me put the mask on this again. So this side will be a different lettering, and give me a few minutes and we'll be right back with you. Okay, we've got the mask applied. We're dealing with a little bit of this mask not wanting to stick to this rubber. So I have to kind of do it slow. Kind of hold this mask as we go. Got the edge of this letter G right here with some tape, so we can get around it. What I'm kind of doing is pushing this down with the airbrush as well while I'm working it. And I'll probably have a little bit of cleanup that I have to do with some lacquer thinner where it got outside the mask. Maybe not. It's looking pretty good so far. We'll see what we see here in a minute. I'm gonna find my razor blade. Go. And it looks like it come out pretty good. Once the clear goes on it, everything will become a little brighter. Everything will look a little better. Like I said, I'll be shooting a Createx clear over this with a UV inhibitor and also with a catalyst that I've had for years. I don't even know if Createx still sells the catalyst. They may have a different chemical now, but I've had this catalyst for years. And it's always worked for me on leather jackets and stuff. I used to go to swap meets and airbrush leather jackets. Kind of thing. So if it'll hold up on leather jackets, it'll hold up on anything. I can tell you that right now. And guess you guys can see that. Let's hope the camera's in focus. And try to get a shot without all that. In God we trust. And that's a pretty decent statement right there in today's world. But I'm gonna shut the camera off and spray some clear in here, and I gotta run the ventilation fan and that kind of stuff. So I don't want to get clear coat all over my camera. We'll be back in just a few minutes for the finished product after it's been cleared with a matte clear. So there's the finished product right after the clear coat. This is a matte clear, so it's not going to dry, you know, glossy or anything. And let's flip this around. And in God we trust, as you can see right there. And hopefully that's coming out good on the camera, but